The world changed the day the first dungeons appeared in the sky. No one knew where they came from. No one knew what was inside them. People only knew one thing: monsters were pouring out of them. Within just a few months, hundreds of cities were destroyed. Humanity stood on the brink of extinction. But then something strange happened. Some people began to awaken supernatural powers. They could see level skills and grow stronger after every battle. These people were called hunters. In the city of Huyenman, where dungeons appeared more frequently than anywhere else, powerful hunters became heroes. They were celebrated wealthy, and held immense power. But not everyone was that lucky. On the edge of that glamorous world existed someone almost nobody remembered. His name was Lambda, an F-rank hunter. The lowest rank in the entire system. He had no special power, no talent, and no team willing to accept him. Every day, Lambda's job was simply to follow behind stronger hunting parties to clean up monster corpses and pick up whatever they left behind. In everyone's eyes, he was just a weakling who was lucky to survive. But no one knew that. He, the weakest of all hunters, would one day become the lord of all dungeons. If the world of hunters were divided into clear hierarchies, then Lambda would undoubtedly stand at the very bottom. In the city of Huyen, Mon power decides everything. A-rank and S-rank hunters live like celebrities. They own luxury villas, drive expensive cars, and are praised by the entire city as saviors. In contrast, weak hunters like Lambda are hardly even considered real hunters. 3 years after his awakening, his rank is still stuck at F rank. He has no powerful combat skills. No meaningful ability to level up. Every time he enters a dungeon, Lambda has only one role: stay behind, and do the things no one else wants to do. Collect monster corpses. Carry equipment. And sometimes, serve as bait if things become dangerous. Even so, Lambda grits his teeth and endures it all. Not for fame or money, but because he believes that if he keeps fighting one day, he might be able to change his fate. But reality is far crueler than he imagined. In the eyes of stronger hunters, Lambda is nothing more than a disposable tool that can be sacrificed at any time. And soon enough, that is exactly what happens. During what seemed like a routine mission in a B-rank dungeon, the hunting team Lambda was following made a cold, ruthless decision. They would leave him behind. The gate of the B-rank dungeon closed behind him, leaving Lambda alone in suffocating darkness. At first, he still hoped it was just a mistake. Maybe the team leader would come back. Maybe they were just looking for another path. But then the sound of footsteps faded and disappeared completely. All that remained was the low growling of monsters echoing through the tunnels. Lambda quickly realized the cruel truth. He had been left behind as bait. The blood-fang wolves began emerging from the shadows. Their crimson eyes glowed like sparks of fire in the darkness. 1, 2, then an entire pack. He stepped back, slowly gripping his chipped hunting knife as tightly as he could. An F-rank hunter like him had no chance of winning. But if he stood still, he would certainly die. With nothing left to lose, Lambda charged forward in desperation, slashing wildly in an attempt to break through. Within minutes, his body was covered in wounds. Blood dripped onto the cold stone floor. When the largest wolf leapt toward him, Lambda knew this would be the final moment of his life. And then, a strange sound echoed inside his mind. A cold, emotionless voice spoke. Extreme survival instinct detected. Activation conditions fulfilled. The Black Sovereign System. Initializing. The moment the cold voice echoed in his mind, everything around Lambda seemed to slow down. The blood-fang wolf that had been leaping toward him suddenly moved as if time itself had been dragged into slow motion. Blood dripped from Lambda's wounds onto the stone floor, yet the pain seemed to fade away. In front of him, a dim black interface of light appeared. Black Sovereign System activated. Establishing connection with host. Connection complete. A chilling surge of energy ran down his spine, spreading through his entire body like electricity. The wounds that had been bleeding moments ago began to close at a strange, unnatural speed. The blood-fang wolf landed right in front of him. By instinct, Lambda swung his knife. But this time, the strike was completely different. The blade sliced through the monster's thick hide as if it were nothing more than paper. The massive wolf collapsed to the ground. A line of text immediately appeared. You have slain a blood-fang wolf. Dark energy absorbed. Level increased. Lambda froze. In 3 years of being a hunter, he had never seen a notification like this before. Before he could understand what was happening, the rest of the wolves surrounded him. But this time, Lambda didn't step back. A faint smile slowly appeared on his lips. For the first time in his life, the weakest hunter might finally have a chance to become strong. After the last blood-fang wolf collapsed, the dungeon sank once again into a heavy, suffocating silence. Lambda stood among the scattered monster corpses, his breathing still ragged. But this time the familiar fear was gone. In its place was a strange sensation. Power slowly growing inside his body. Before his eyes, the dark interface of the Black Sovereign System appeared again. New skill unlocked: Dark Absorption. You can absorb energy from defeated creatures. Lambda hesitantly reached out and touched the corpse of a wolf. Immediately a thin wisp of black smoke rose from the monster's body and flowed into his palm. A chilling surge of energy spread through his veins. His level continued to rise. But at the same time another notification appeared. Warning, high-level entity detected in the area. Lambda's expression hardened instantly. A B-rank dungeon was only supposed to contain mid-level monsters. Yet deep within the tunnel, the ground suddenly began to tremble with slow, heavy vibrations. A deep rumbling roar echoed through the darkness. It wasn't a wolf. It wasn't an ordinary monster. Something bigger and far more dangerous was approaching. The system interface flashed a line of red text. Dungeon boss detected, Bloodfang Beast King. Lambda tightened his grip on the knife in his hand. He had just obtained this power, but it might already be too late to run. The roar thundered through the dungeon like a crashing storm. From the darkness of the deep tunnel, a massive figure slowly emerged. Its dark fur was covered with countless battle scars, and its crimson eyes burned like twin flames in the night. The Bloodfang Beast King. The pressure radiating from its body alone made the air feel unbearably heavy. The scattered corpses of the Bloodfang wolves lying across the stone floor served as a grim reminder that the creature before him was the true ruler of this dungeon. Lambda swallowed hard. Even C-rank hunters would struggle to survive against a boss like this. And him, he had activated the system only a few minutes ago. The thought flashed through his mind. But before he could even turn around, the Beast King lunged forward with terrifying speed. Its massive claw swept through the air. Boom. Lambda was sent flying into the stone wall. His body slammed violently onto the ground, the impact forcing the air out of his lungs. The system interface began flashing red warnings. Warning, host vitality rapidly decreasing. He tried to stand, but his legs barely responded. The Beast King slowly approached, its burning red eyes staring down at its dying prey. And in that moment, Lambda realized a cruel truth. Even with the system, even with this new power, he might still be unable to escape the fate of the weak. The Bloodfang Beast King slowly approached. Each of its steps made the ground tremble heavily beneath it. Its glowing red eyes stared down at Lambda as if savoring its prey before ending the hunt. Lambda lay on the cold stone floor, his breathing growing weaker by the second. Blood ran down his face, blurring his vision. His body barely responded to his will anymore. The system interface in front of him continued flashing red warnings. Host vitality 7%, 6%. In that moment, memories suddenly flooded his mind. The days he had been mocked. The endless errands he had been forced to run. And the moment when his own teammates abandoned him to die inside the dungeon. A surge of rage ignited deep in his chest. Lambda clenched his teeth. No. I can't die here. Right then the system emitted a strange new sound. Extreme survival will detected. Conditions for special skill unlocked. A line of dark text appeared before his eyes. New skill unlocked, Dominion of Shadows. A chilling surge of power erupted from deep within Lambda's body. The shadows beneath his feet began to spread outward, twisting and rising like living black smoke. As the Beast King lunged forward to deliver the final killing bite, a blood-covered hand suddenly tightened around the knife. Lambda stood up. His eyes had turned as dark as a bottomless abyss. And for the very first time, the true predator had just been born. Darkness spread from beneath Lambda's feet, surging like a black tide that swallowed the space within the dungeon. The Bloodfang Beast King suddenly halted. For the first time, its hunter's instincts sensed something more dangerous than itself. Lambda slowly straightened his body. The wounds across him were still there, but in his eyes now remained only the cold emptiness of darkness. Dominion of Shadows skill activated. At once, the shadows on the ground rose like living chains, wrapping tightly around the Beast King's legs. The monster roared violently, struggling to break free. But the more it fought, the tighter the shadows constricted. Lambda walked forward step by step. This time, he was no longer the prey. The Beast King lunged forward one last time, jaws opening wide. But at that exact moment, Lambda dashed forward. One slash. Darkness erupted. The massive Beast King crashed onto the stone floor with a thunderous impact. The system interface immediately appeared. You have slain the dungeon boss. New title unlocked, Sovereign of Shadows. Lambda stood in the dungeon, surrounded by the corpses of monsters, his breathing slowly steadying. From this day forward, the weakest hunter was gone. In his place stood a ruler rising from the darkness. And this was only the beginning. If you want to know what happens next in Lambda's journey, comment 1 below, and we'll unlock the next chapter of the story together.